Okay, awesome. Yeah, I just want to give a big shout out to all the PowerSync team because honestly, it means a lot to us, especially as we were putting our app out to production, that you guys are accessible, helping us fix bugs, getting on calls with us. It really means a lot. Quick, quick background. My name's Hussein Bakswala. I'm a senior at the University of Michigan, along with Matt Wade. He's a junior, and we're building Jetpack. So essentially, today travel advisors are using 14 plus tools to do their job. They have different tools for their booking software, for communications, for their CRM. We bring all of these tools into one place across both web and mobile. So as you can see over here, we have itinerary builders, we have a CRM, um, we have like a file storage, tasks and reminders, advisor profile. We're building an email as well to our platform. So all these different tools that would be individually different tools that advisors have to both pay for and learn how to use, they can have it all on one place cross-platform. Essentially, before all we really had was a real-time sync, right? And we realized that as travel advisors, our customers tend to be traveling a lot. They are always around the place, they're on cruises, at hotels, and a lot of the times they don't have the most stable of internet connections. So we wanted to have some sort of offline first system that allowed us to have very like quick reads and writes that weren't delayed by slow network or a loss of connection. And as soon as things get back and synced, everything gets pushed right back up to the database. And that's sort of why we looked into a few different offline providers. We saw that the PowerSync folks had a pretty solid integration with Superbase Auth. We sort of jumped straight in, started implementing it, and it turned out to be very, very easy. I think without further ado, I want to do a quick demo of our products so you can see the real time across web and mobile, along with how offline works. And then Matt's going to jump in and show the actual implementation on the back end of how that works. So I'll go ahead and here we go. Can you guys see my two screens?
Yep.
Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. So why don't we go ahead and start out by creating a client. So we'll go ahead and look at the clients page over here. Let's go ahead and let's do Patrick Mahomes. So we'll
Patty.
go ahead and create a client. And as you can see, immediately it shows up right here, both on web and mobile. We can click in and we can see information about the client. We can add additional details. And as we put things in, everything ideally should update in relatively near real time. So as you can see right here, the email immediately popped up and we can send it off. The next thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and create a trip. So one big thing that our travel advisors like to do is create itineraries for their clients. So we'll go ahead and let's say we're going to, how about like Seattle? So we're going to Seattle and a month. To and create a trip. Once again, on the trip side, you'll see everything shows up instantly cross-platform. We can click in, beautiful photos from Unsplash, so our advisors can share this with their clients, and they basically see the same interface on both platforms. Clients are looking at mobile like this. I think that is a pretty solid walkthrough. The last thing I'll show is airplane mode. If we go right here, you can see that we use Expo's net info in order to tell us whether you're online or offline. Go ahead and turn on the pop-up that shows up on the bottom that basically lets you know that you're offline, and then when you're connected again, things should sync right back up. Right. I will stop sharing my screen so Matt can share and sort of walk through the code that goes behind all this. Yeah, it might make you restart. Okay,
Oh yeah,
let me switch right over
yeah.
here.
So I'll be walking you guys through our implementation. So something that we use is we use an at Jetpack slash super package to kind of store how we interact with our database as a whole through PowerSync, and through PowerSync goes up to Supabase. So how we actually made it is we made a cache interface for each one of our tables, and that's kind of how we interact with our database. So this cache interface here, as you can see, it has a table name. So that's just like whatever the name of the Supabase table is. Source, which is just all the rows, and basically a bunch of functions that we use to interact with the database. So we have list just to get the table, just to get all the rows. We have filter, ID, insert, update, and delete. And basically this just abstracts out all the SQL queries, and yeah, just all the SQL queries, all the PowerSync watch queries, everything like that. So it's just very easy to use for any developer without knowing like what's going on in the backend as we get our team bigger. Um, so here, as you can see, I have the constructor here. And as you can see, I used a PowerSync watch query inside this hook, inside this constructor, basically to listen to whatever table we're doing it for the cache interface. And essentially, you'll see below we have some stuff where we're looking at key starts with array, just so we're able to JSON parse these keys, because those are the ones that we're using arrays for. And with PowerSync, how arrays work, you have to JSON parse it because it's as a string. So that's just how we interact with that. And basically, it just makes it super easy so that we can onboard new developers and they won't really have to know the complicated stuff that's going on in the back end. Everything just works as they would expect. So here, this file here is what we call gen super types. And this basically just generates our types from PowerSync and also Supabase. And like the first presenter was saying, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, but as you guys were showing the CLI, we could actually make use of that right here. As you can see here, the first line, we go to PowerSync dashboard and generate the client side schema there and copy and paste it in. But eventually we'll probably update it with the PowerSync CLI to just do that all automatically and copy and paste it in. But as you can see, we get the client-side schema. We generate the Supabase types using Supabase gen types, the Supabase CLI, and we run our script that kind of builds the context from these schemas. So it creates that cache interfaces that I showed you earlier. And here's just a little code snippet of how we use the super hook, which comes from our at Jetpack super package. And essentially, reminders is one of our table names. And as you can see, we can interact with the table very easily just using the ID, which grabs the reminder with the ID of ID. And we can do other things such as insert, delete, updates, and everything like that, as simple as just calling a function on the object. And that's basically how we use PowerSync on our backend. It makes it very, very easy, super easy. Everything's abstracted. And as you can see, we hate SQL queries, so we want to abstract everything out.
Yeah, pretty much. The last thing that we wanted to talk about was essentially sort of our tech stack. We basically built in a Slido monorepo. As you can see over here, we have both a web and mobile app side by side. We use Supabase obviously as our database and for auth, and then PowerSync is our offline layer. And then we use Tamagui for cross-platform styling. We sort of came from like a somewhat Tailwind background and then moved to Tamagui once we went cross-platform. We're basically on the Expo Manager workflow. That means that both our iOS and Android are React Native in a single code base. Expo gives us a lot of cool things like push notifications, native modules like a date time picker, and then OTA updates with EAS updates. So we are rarely pushing App Store builds and going through that entire process of getting it approved by the App Store. Speaking about the App Store experience, we read a lot before submitting our app about how picky and how strict Apple especially is when trying to submit to the App Store. In terms of the actual submissions, EAS abstracts allow that out for you. So you just run like EAS build, pushes it up to their cloud builds, they run it, and then they submit the app for you. The last thing I'll say about that is Apple has this really cool thing. I'll actually show you guys where it's like an App Store expedited review. And you can actually review like in certain circumstances, you can't like abuse this, but if you ever need something, let's say you have like a launch day going on, or you have some big massive bug that you found, they actually review things very quickly. I submitted a review once at like 1 a.m. the day before launch, and within like 15 minutes, someone was looking at it, and we had an approval within a few hours. So this is something you can have in your back pocket just as an emergency. If you ever need a hot fix. So yeah, I think that's everything from our side.
That was amazing. Yeah, so cool to see what you guys built and some pretty sophisticated workflows in that app also. Yeah, congrats.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.